What if you're not lazy? What if you're not unmotivated? What if you're simply burned out? So many of us, including me, keep pushing, thinking we just need to work harder or drink one more cup of coffee or just get through one more day. But burnout doesn't just steal your energy, it steals your joy, your focus, your health, and sometimes even your sense of who you are. Well, today we are lucky enough to be talking with burnout expert Cait Donovan, who has lived this herself and now helps others find practical ways to survive burnout, even when life won't slow down. If you're running on empty, this conversation is for you.
It's a beautiful chaos, this roller coaster ride. The ups, the downs are spinning all around inside. It's a beautiful chaos. Sometimes I love, sometimes I hate. Have to pause, renegotiate, but with gratitude I appreciate this beautiful chaos.
Today, I'm so excited for our guest, Cait Donovan. Cait has spent years telling people the truth about burnout. It's not a personal failure. It's a mismatch problem. She's the host of Fried, a top 1% podcast with over 1 million downloads, author of The Bounce Back Ability Factor, and is currently writing Mismatch. With 3,700 5-star keynote reviews and a 99% approval rating, she's the person organizations call when they're finally ready to fix the real problem. I would like to welcome everyone to Beautiful Chaos and welcome the fabulous Cait Donovan. How are you doing?
I am thrilled to be here. So happy to be invited. And last week I was having just, you know how you have a week, you have a bunch of bad days? And there wasn't anything particular going on. It was just a bunch of bad days. And this week is kind of magical. So, it's all balancing out.
Yay! I love it. I love when magic happens in our lives for sure. So I want to talk to you. I actually, after reading, I want to talk about how I found you. So I'm on the ICF. It sends me things for Music in the Park, our nonprofit that I run. And I'm looking at your bio and I'm like, oh my goodness, I would love to have her on our show because I have suffered with burnout multiple times. I'm oh girl, if I could tell you, I just came off of selling tickets for a circus and promoting a circus, and I created Power County America's 250 group, and we're doing celebrations every month, plus Music in the Park every week, plus 4th of July, big, huge celebration coming up. So I'm in the throes of it, and I have to really balance my rest time and actually schedule my rest time. So, I mean, if people have listened to my show know that I've burned out and I share openly with how I deal with things. So let's talk about you because, gosh, I've been listening to your podcast now. I read your book this morning, Bounce
Oh,
Back Ability. Yes, it was fantastic. I have like the last 2 chapters to read. So I haven't got on the total fix your problem yet. So let's talk about your journey. What happened with you that brought you to research and learn and educate yourself in all things related to burnout?
and do another degree because that part wasn't
Yes.
in the book. I did that after the book. Um, so I was really surprised by burnout. I first, did not know what it was. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah.
So it really caught me off guard because I learned it was the thing and I learned it was the thing I was experiencing all on the same day.
Oh my
And it
word.
was incredibly jarring and brought up so much shame. Like
Shame.
yes, yes.
No,
And I
yeah,
hear this,
explain that.
yeah, I hear this a lot from other people too. So when I got, when I realized I was burnt out, I was reading a Harvard Business Review article on burnout and I was just going, oh my God, 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 that's me. And at the time, I was a practicing acupuncturist. Acupuncturists are stress management experts because that is literally Chinese medicine is how different stressors affect the body through different systems and how all the pathways connect. there's going to be somebody in here that knows Chinese medicine that's going to be like, Cait, that was not a great explanation. But the basics, right? It is always about an outside stressor or an internal stressor. It could be weather, it could be emotions. It doesn't matter, but the stressor affects the system and then creates disease. I was thinking to myself, sitting there reading through that article, thinking, how could this have happened to me? I am a stress expert I have a master's degree in this. I have treated, at that point, probably 20,000 acupuncture treatments I'd done. I had a successful practice. I had a happy marriage. I was living in Prague, of all places in the world. Like, how lucky is that? I was looking at a castle every day. What? I was just flabbergasted.
So I think so that's where the shame comes in because you feel like because you're the expert that you should just have your crap together, right? And when you don't, you do. You feel like a failure in some aspect and that
Yeah.
you're doing something wrong. I did that with health coaching because I
Yeah.
gained like 25 pounds while I was health coaching and I was like, well, who am I to I'm obviously flailing at this and then you start judging yourself.
Yeah.
So how did you walk yourself out of that and realize, oh, I'm in the throes of this burnout and
And
I
it's not
need
necessarily my fault. So I think that
right.
was the thing, right? So I am very cerebral by nature, and I like to read, and I'm a nerd. So the next easy step for me was read everything you can find. Gather information. You clearly don't know how to fix this because you didn't even know it was happening, and all of the techniques you already know, like if they were working for you, you wouldn't be here. So you've got to gather more information because you don't know enough to figure this out. My husband was doing a postgraduate degree at the time at the University of Cambridge in the UK, distance, but and so he had access to university libraries, and that means you can download any piece of research you want, which is the loveliest thing. So it was 2016. This is now 10 years ago. About this time of year, actually, I downloaded everything I could find on burnout and I started reading through all of the research material. And what I kept tripping over was almost all of the burnout material at that time. It has since changed, folks. It's been a decade. There's new info. But at that time, so much of the info was based in either organizations or hospitals. And the conclusion was often this is, 75 or 80% the organization's fault. Now I'm thinking, I am a solo practitioner. I work for myself. I don't have an organization or a hospital to blame. So the shame wasn't moving yet. I was still stuck in it. And as I was reading through the material, I'm thinking, there's no biomedical science in this. There's no diagnosis. There's no, this is just a concept that we are studying through a social sciences lens, which is important. And thank goodness for all of that research. But like, what's happening in my body? At that time, there was literally no information about what was happening in your body, no direct studies between burnout and biomedical research, none. So I started looking instead of burnout in the body, so looking for burnout science in the body. I started looking at chronic stress. I said, all right, well, what does chronic stress do in the body and how can I figure that out? And I stumbled over a magazine article that made me roll my eyes immediately. I was like, oh my God, clickbait. This is going to be so annoying, but I'm going to read it. Because it said chronic stress shrinks your brain. And I was like, journalists don't know how to read medical research. Ugh, being super judgmental and really gracious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, I'm going to dive into this article. I'm going to find the research that they used to write this article, and then I'm going to come to my own conclusion. So I went in, I read the article, I found the research, I started diving in, and I thought, oh my God, chronic stress shrinks your brain. If chronic stress shrinks your brain, and my brain has changed shape because of my life experiences without my knowledge, because it's not like you're keeping track of it, then this is maybe not my fault. So the thing that quieted down the shame for me was the knowledge of what was happening from a biomedical perspective in my body. And so that became like, this is now the first thing that I teach at almost all keynotes and in books and things like that. Like, this is what I teach first because I want people to have a space where they can release the shame, blame, guilt, and judgment that they're carrying for ending up in this space.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now there's a reason for it. There's actually science based saying this is happening in your brain, and it's not something that you can control easily or change, right? Easily.
Not, it's not actually that hard, but you have to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. There has to be a certain intentionality to it. It's the things that you can do to change your brain. You look up neuroplasticity on the internet. It's like go walk in the forest, take some deep breaths, and get some good sleep and eat some good nutrition. It's the basics,
Right.
right? It's nothing really wild,
Yeah.
but just knowing that it was possible and knowing that it wasn't my fault that it happened the other way. It's not like I was walking around going, "Oh, I hope my brain shrinks today." You know, like that was not the situation. So that really just helped me release some of the angst I had around the whole situation, which allowed me to then start the healing process. I wasn't really on the healing process before I kind of captured that. And the interesting news is just last year, August 2025, I just found out about this research this week. This is like brand new to me.
Oh, this is
So,
exciting.
yeah, it's so fun. So, according to new research, they looked over a bunch of people that had clinical burnout. So, they scored a certain degree or higher on the Maslach burnout inventory, which is the standard for saying somebody has clinical burnout. It's still not a medical diagnosis, it's an occupational hazard. But they took people that scored high on that burnout inventory. They did brain scans, compared them to people that scored low on the inventory, and did brain scans. And now they have a distinct pattern of changes in the brain that is associated with burnout specifically and differentiates it from things like PTSD and depression.
Oh, wow. Because there's a lot of similarities between symptoms of depression and burnout.
Yes,
So that's very interesting that the brain is telling them something different. Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So what about, so here, this just came to mind. So like my mom has dementia.
Hmm.
So I wonder, she had a very stressful job.
Hmm.
So isn't dementia kind of like the shrinking of the brain and the dying off of the brain? Or maybe you don't know, but I feel like that's kind of, so
It can
maybe,
depend. So there are different types of dementia. I'm not a neurologist, nor am I a dementia specialist, but there are
right.
different types of dementia. So my grandmother had Lewy body dementia, and that is a particular shape of plaque that forms in the brain. Alzheimer's is amyloid plaques, I believe, or tau plaques, tau plaques that form in the brain. And yes, there is some die off, but it happens in different ways and for different reasons in different people. So the brain changes that are associated with burnout are in very specific regions. The brain changes with dementia can happen in different places, and that's why the symptoms from one person to the next can be so drastically different. In the beginning with my grandmother, she was so angry and or petrified all the time. And her inability to regulate her emotions was related to where that change happened in her brain. Some people lose the ability to speak if it's in, the speech area of the brain, and et cetera, et cetera. So
Right.
the things that create dementia, yes, there is an overall volume change in the brain, but the things that create dementia and the plaques that are seen during different disease processes can be in different areas and therefore cause different symptoms. And the burnt out brain has a very particular pattern that is
Okay.
not plaque related, it's just volume loss related.
Okay. All right. So that's different then. It's way
It's
different.
different, yeah. And
Yeah.
somebody out there, of course, is a dementia specialist, and they're like, Cait, that's not exactly it. I said, I'm not a dementia specialist. That's just
Yeah.
the very basics.
Neither one of us are medically inclined in that area. We're just knowledgeable based on experience. You obviously have way more experience than I do with it. But so let's talk about now you've researched burnout. I think that what really interests me is that you come at it, like you said, there before there was like only doctors, medical, all these big corporations is what they're looking at as this, exhausted burnout thing. But it can happen for people that work from home, people that are entrepreneurs, mothers. Like I feel like back in my mother years, I was holding down a part-time job and, had three kids, and that was like extremely stressful. One part of your book when you talked about, um, boy, I just wish because I thought this, oh, I just wish I'd hit that telephone pole. Now, my kids were not in the car with me. If I
Yeah,
just hit that telephone pole just right, I could just land in the hospital. I'd live through it, but I could be in the hospital where somebody would take care of me for a change.
yeah,
So looking back, I'm like, that was burnout.
yeah.
Like, but you didn't know it didn't have a name, I feel
No,
like. And not
it
in
did.
that, not in our level,
No.
right?
No, there was some in the research, right? They started researching burnout around the same time that I was born in the early 80s. So it's burnout is about the same age as I am, kind of
Oh,
as a concept, but studied in the way that it's studied now. No. Mm-mm. The
right.
past 10 years, COVID actually is the thing that catapulted burnout into the spotlight.
Yeah. And I can believe that. I actually enjoyed COVID.
Some people did. Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was a break for a lot of people.
it really was. And it made me realize I don't need the 10,000 things on my plate. Like I'm at peace with just being because I struggle with that. I have to do something to have value,
Mm,
And so I worked through that and came to this place of I have value because I just am, right?
mhm.
And but it gave me this other side of what life could be if you didn't have the 50 million things going on. Now, this is a weird year for me. I'm more overloaded than normal, but I have learned how to take care of myself, and I think that's really important. So when I first read your bio and I listened to one of the podcasts, I was like, I feel like we're like two peas in a pod. Like we have the same thinking, but I'm looking at it like, okay, I went through this, so now these are the things I'm doing. Although you're gonna laugh because I don't know how many times I've heard you say, doing a gratitude journal is just stupid. And I do a gratitude journal, but I do it on the days I want to do it. I don't tie myself to, you have to do this gratitude journal every day or you're not going to be grateful.
Yes.
You're going to be negative if you don't do. I give myself the grace. I'm like, you know what? When I want to do that, I do that. And even set the tone for the day, how I'm going to, come at something with light and joy. Um, so anyways,
I think we could talk about that for a minute because that's an
okay.
interesting thing,
Yeah.
right? So I love a gratitude journal when you are in a place to be able to
Yes.
feel the flush of endorphins and hormone, like to feel the actual shift, biological, biochemical shift in your body that happens when you feel true gratitude. Gratitude, actually, awe and wonder are even stronger. So moments of awe, like when you catch a sunset and it just really gets you.
Yeah.
That's just as powerful, if not more powerful, than gratitude. Is some of the newer research over the past few years. If you have the capacity to truly feel the gratitude that you're writing about, it
Hmm.
is an incredible tool, and I love it. When you are burnt out, you do not have that capacity. It
Right.
Writing a gratitude journal makes you feel worse because you're writing things down that you know you should feel grateful for, but you don't. So then you feel guilty and shame instead. And that is not helping you get where you need to go.
Right, 100%. And I think that was the part that I heard too, was you talk about that. You have to be in the right headspace for it. And that's what I really liked about. So I was saying we're two peas in a pod. I'm coming at it as like, hey, this is what I do to try to keep myself from falling
Yeah.
into that trap of the burnout, like self-care. And you're going, hey, you're in it. this is what you need to do. Like, I think
That
I was listening to one of them where you said, just drink water. Just make sure you drink water for the day. Just make sure you eat food for the day. Feed yourself when you're hungry, when you can. And I love that because that's like, people don't understand if you haven't been in it, you just can't even function. Like, it's
at all.
like, yeah, their thought process is gone. Like,
Mhm.
you're like, really? You want me to make a decision on what? Like,
Well, that part of your brain that's responsible for decision making shrinks during burnout.
ah, there you go.
The part of your brain that regulates emotions shrinks during burnout. The part of your brain that assesses whether the amount of effort you're going to put into a situation will be worth the reward you're going to get from the situation is offline during burnout. So everything feels like the amount that you're going to get back is not worth the effort that you're going to put in.
Mm.
So that system is offline. Your amygdala, who I call Amy G. Dalla because that's funnier. Amy, instead of shrinking, Amy gets bigger. And when Amy gets bigger, she overinterprets every threat in your life as like a threat to everything about you. So if you are walking through the forest and you see a stick, but you mistake it for a snake, you're going to end up in a full stress response. Whereas normally you'd look down, you'd see something that looked like a snake, the front of your brain would come online right away and say, oh, no, 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 that's just a root. Don't worry about it. But you can't do that when you're burnt out. So now you're in a full adrenal, like your adrenaline is high, your cortisol is through the roof, you're afraid of this snake, and there wasn't even a snake.
Oh, gosh.
So all of that is happening
Yeah.
all the time when you're burnt out. And the other interesting thing that's consistent in burnt out brains is that the way that the brain connects with itself is more important than any singular region. Right, so there's like all these highways that go through and connect, like the front part of the brain and the amygdala, they have to talk to one another and they connect through something called the anterior cingulate cortex. So all these different networks of like highways that are in your brain during burnout, they form like sudden sinkholes and stop connecting with one another. It just drops out and it happens like in real time immediately. Like they can watch it happen on a functional MRI.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, so
Wild.
is that part of your, so that's your brain, but
Yeah.
there's your sympathetic system and your parasympathetic. So your brain, your amygdala, is putting that, what did I just say? Sympathetic nervous system. Your whole body is
Yes.
affected by that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
So that's
it's
just the
crazy.
brain stuff. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
there's muscle atrophy, the gut in your
your
the
gut
bacteria in
biome.
your gut change, like all sorts of things change
You can get
during burnout.
autoimmune diseases and
Autoimmune disorders, weight gain, weight loss, IBS, constipation, diarrhea, thyroid problems, you name it. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on.
yeah, because it's chronic stress that's
Yes,
led to this complete
right.
burnout. Yeah.
And it breaks down every part of your body.
Yeah. Gosh. And so now I know you said, so it's happening in our brains, and that's, you felt good about naming, okay, I know where this is coming from. I have no control over that. And I loved listening to you say also that, you can't think positive things and make it go away. And then you were talking about how you lie to yourself. Like, I'm not a liar, but I lied to myself. For 2.5 years, I was taking care of parents flying back and forth from Idaho to Delaware, taking care of my, moving him to a assisted living and a nursing home and a funeral, and then moving my mom out here. And all these things were happening. And the whole time I'm doing podcasts or Facebook Lives, Facebook Lives as a health coach going, okay, I'm just going to turn this around and realize there's a learning lesson in here, da 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 da, and happy. I'm going to be happy. Meanwhile, what was really happening that I wasn't even aware because I believed my lie was my body was falling apart because my brain that was happening. My brain was shrinking. And I started having the inability to finally like even make decisions like what's for dinner. I have
Yeah.
no freaking idea. Can you just figure it out? Like, why can't you think with your brain for a minute?
Mine is literally not working.
Yeah. Yeah. So is yours are so where are you at right now? I would like to know, well, first of all, so we've named off a lot of the things that you can recognize as burnout, but can you go over some of those things? Like how can someone tell if they're just a little stressed, which is like I'm stressed, I'm excited about a project, and I have a deadline. There's that kind of stress. Um, versus chronic stress where you feel like your body's on high alert all the time.
Yeah,
What's
so here's the thing, and this is why I work from the place of burnout recovery and not burnout prevention, because I think that burnout prevention is for people who have already burnt out and are trying to avoid a burnout relapse. Most of us that end up burnt out do not have the capacity to notice those signs and symptoms along the way, and that's why we end up there. And that has to do with brain science too, which we can get into if you want. But so if we're not going to notice the signs and symptoms along the way, then someone who's listening to this who maybe needs burnout prevention, maybe needs something to shift right now, they are going to brush this off like it's about somebody else. They're going to be, and
Mm.
most likely they are an overgiver, overcarer, people pleaser, hyper independent perfectionist. So they're going to be listening to this thinking who it could help that's not them,
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
So
could see that.
a lot of times the things that we need to do or notice to prevent it, I don't even want to tell people because if you have the propensity toward burnout, you're not going to listen to me right now.
Right.
You're not going to listen, but here they are. We'll say it anyway. First, you have to know the definition of burnout as it exists right now in the end of June 2026. I don't know when this will come out, but as we are speaking, the definition of burnout, according to the World Health definition, the organization is number one, you must have physical and emotional exhaustion. Number two, you are cynical and depersonalized. And number three, you feel either a lack of impact of your work, right? The reward for the effort is not there. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Or you are dropping in productivity, which of course you are because you're exhausted and cynical. Like,
Right.
so you're not, of course, all of those
It all
things make,
goes together.
it
Yeah.
all goes together. Like that makes sense. So
Yeah.
first of all, that's what is considered burnout. But along the way, the things that we don't notice that are happening, a lot of people say, because you ignored your symptoms. I don't think you're ignoring your symptoms. I think you're just not noticing them. Your
Or you're
jaw
lying to yourself about your symptoms and you're
and
giving it as you get older. Hey, I'm 60 and I'm always like, oh, well, maybe it's just
age.
because I'm getting older. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that's a lie you're telling yourself when you could be recognizing it as a symptom.
Yeah, but I think it's okay that people don't. I don't like to use the word ignore because I'm like, listen, you missed it. So, okay, what do we do now? It doesn't matter. That already happened. So what do we do from here? Right?
Right.
But if you're gonna catch it, you're gonna catch it in neck and jaw tension, headaches and migraines, changes in digestion. You're gonna notice it in frequent colds and flus. You're going to notice it in a shortened emotional bandwidth. You're going to explode more often. You're going to feel like you have less control over what you're saying and how you're saying it and who you're saying it to. And you're going to know that it's wrong as it's coming out of your mouth, but you're not going to be able to stop yourself, kind of thing. Like that's going to happen. You're going to
Yeah.
get more and more tired to the point where if you were someone who exercised normally, you will try to do the same exercise that you used to do. And instead of having it give you that endorphin boost that it would normally give you, it makes you want to take a nap. Your sleep will likely be disrupted in one way or another. So either you will not be able to fall asleep or you will not be able to stay asleep. Now, there's a bunch of people out there that just said, sounds like perimenopause. True. So if you're in that space, then get yourself some hormones if they're safe for you, and then see what other symptoms still remain, right? Because yes, there can be crossover of these things, and burnout is most likely to happen at that age anyway. So that could be happening at the same time. So those are all the things that will pile up, different, like a chronic pain, injuries, things like that will start to pile up. A lot of people get jaw clenching, teeth grinding, you'll go to your dentist and it'll be like, you need a night guard. And you're like, I'm 37. I've never had a night guard. And they're like, well, you're gonna get one now.
I had to have braces because my I had TMJ so bad. My jaw
Yeah.
was so misaligned from stress, which I didn't
Yes.
know I was experiencing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing because
Yeah.
you like it starts getting tighter, it starts getting tighter, it starts getting tighter, and you just get used to it.
Yeah.
So it's
It becomes part of you. It's just like
yes,
that's just a thing. And so you don't put focus on it. Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
totally normal and human
Yeah. And I
to do that.
love that you come across things as don't judge what's happening also. Don't label it good or bad. Whatever's
Yeah.
happening is just happening and you just have to figure out your way forward.
Yeah.
Um and I do
There's no
think
morality to burnout
yes. And
either
I
way.
I love that you said in one of the episodes I watched as well that go to your doctor, have all your labs done, test to make sure it's not your vitamin D, test to make sure you're like test your hormones, like all the things to
Yeah.
see where you are because it might really be something that's off in your system, which probably was caused by stress or just
Could
getting
have
older.
been, right?
Could
But
have
like
been,
I've had
but you don't
people,
know.
no, you don't know. And I'm lucky to have a healthcare practitioner background. So when I was initially coaching people, like I got on the phone with someone one day and she's going through her symptoms and I started asking her about her cycle. And she's like, "Why is this burnout coach asking me about about my cycle?" But in Chinese medicine, I know that if there's some sort of anemia, she probably has either really heavy cycles, which is causing the anemia, or her cycles have changed to be super light because she doesn't have enough in her body to provide to have a full cycle. And she was like, "Oh, actually, they've gone down from like 5 days to two." I said, "Okay." And this was an initial call, like back in the day when I did free calls and I was just getting started. I said, "Listen, I don't want to offer you a coaching package right now. I don't want you to pay for coaching right now. I want you to go to your doctor and find out whether or not you're anemic, because if you're
Mm,
anemic, there's no amount of like mind shift change that we're going to do that's going to make you feel less tired. And that would be
right.
such a waste of time and money and effort on both of our sides. So please just go do that first." She wrote me an email 2 weeks later. She said, "Cait, I am severely anemic to the point
Oh
where
my gosh.
they wanted to have me sit down and get blood physically. I'm
Oh wow.
severely anemic and my vitamin D is like completely in the tank and my vitamin B12 is completely in the tank."
Wow. No
She
wonder she
said
was a mess.
she's like literally physically
Exhausted.
exhausted.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
she's physically does not have the elements that she needs to have energy. And then she wrote in that email, she said, "Thank you so much for not putting me on your calendar."
Yeah. Well, you sound like somebody that was really cared about patient care, not
Yeah,
just about um making money or getting the next person in. Like you were probably one of those people that listened and tried to figure out the inner workings to help you to navigate and heal them.
yeah.
So, yeah, you'd be my kind of doctor to go to.
I was really lucky to be really busy and to also not feel pressured to keep people on because I needed the money.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I could make that decision because of my relative success.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
my generosity, I have a continuum that I talk about in Burnout. It's the resentment generosity continuum. And when you're in your
Mm,
full generosity because you're giving from overflow, it doesn't even feel like generosity because it's not costing you anything.
right.
I was in that place with my practice that it didn't cost me anything to do that for that person. Or for however many people I did that for over the years. It didn't cost me anything.
Right. But at one point, it must have. At one point, it did, because then
Exactly.
you became burned out, because then it
Exactly.
was, you give too much. And that
Yeah.
we only have so much to give. And if we're not refilling our cup, then we can't flow it into others for sure.
Yeah.
So,
And this is why this work is so important in the nonprofit space, right?
right. 100%. Yeah. So, you talk about that your work is in the recovery, not in the prevention. So see, that's where two peas in a pod. Like we're like I'm beside you. I'm right there. I'm just on the I'm going to try to prevent it because been there, done that, and I don't want to go through it. But for people that are in it, what are some things that they can do that doesn't feel like they're adding something that they're having to, I don't know, you just feel like you can't put one more thing on your plate.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
what are some things they could do to help themselves to get out of the burnout or to at
yeah.
least maintain?
So to me, the thing is we have to do some life pruning. We have to figure out what things we can cut away so that you can buy yourself back some energy to deal with the burnout because dealing with the burnout does cost energy. So we need to figure out what can be cut off, what parts of the plant we can chop so that the water's going all to something important. And the way that we do that in my practice is we do a resentment journal instead of a gratitude journal.
Ooh, okay.
Because resentment will tell you every time where you are overgiving, where you are self-neglecting, where you are crossing your own boundaries or easily allowing other people to cross your boundaries
Or not
every.
setting boundaries. Is that
Yeah, which is
well,
the same thing, right? Like if you're not setting a boundary, then you're allowing someone to cross yours. Like
yeah.
that's the same thing. So resentment will tell you every single time where you're overgiving, what things need to change, where you're misaligned, where your boundaries are off, and where you're self-neglecting. And if we can fill those holes, it's like right now we're going to be moving in about 6 months and we have some like nail pops in our ceiling because our house is only 6 years old. So it's still like, there's still some settling happening. And we have some weird, like they changed the railings and they never patched this one little spot and we've been ignoring it for a while. And we know we now have to go and take a little, blue painter's tape and we have to mark all those little spots all over our house so that when we are ready to sell it, we finish those things and it's clean and done and will sell easily. When you're doing the resentment journal, that's the same thing that you're doing. You are going around putting little pieces of tape on the nail pops, on the holes, on the things that need filling, on the things that need fresh paint, on the things that need letting go of, on the things that need, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
putting tape everywhere. And then you can start to face them. You tackle the easiest projects first. So if you're doing the resentment journal and you realize that you are real mad at your egg pan because every morning you make eggs and you've had eggs every morning for breakfast for 30 years, and every morning you make those eggs and every morning they stick to the dang pan
Oh, I hate that.
and it's making you mental. You go out and buy a new pan or you order one so you don't have to leave the house at all, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the beginning of burnout recovery is filling in the nail pops. It's doing the smallest, easiest fixes first because those things that are creating that irritation every day, every morning, every time you do something, they are costing you way more than you realize, especially when you're burnt out. We've got to get those out of the way first. As you continue with the resentment journal, you're going to get to places where you're going to need to have some conversations and set some boundaries, where you're going to need to stop saying yes before the conversation even finishes. Like people haven't even finished the question and you're like, "Sure." I had someone recently reach out to me and ask for some help with a keynote. I love helping other speakers with their keynotes. I'm very good at it. I'm better at it for other people than I am for myself, as most of the time these things go.
Hmm.
And I said, yeah, I'm happy to do that next week. She said, how about Wednesday? And I was like, okay, I could make Wednesday work. My old burnout self would have been like, yeah, Wednesday's totally fine. But I looked at it and I was like, actually, I'm doing you a favor and it would be better for me on Thursday.
Good for you. Yeah.
I didn't say I'm doing you a favor. That happened in my head. But I was like, if I agree to do this on Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is my only open slot on Wednesday, I'm going to be annoyed when I get on the phone with you, which is not the energy that you deserve from me. So I've gotten to the point with the resentment journal that I can predict when I will feel resentful. And I do everything that I can to move away from things that would make me feel that way because those are all of the things that pull me out of alignment. And I said, oh no, Wednesday's not going to work for me. I got a busy day. but I can focus on it on Thursday. Here are the 3 spots that I have open. She goes, "Oh, that works perfect for me."
And and you were previously you would have been the people pleaser for sure
Yeah.
and been like, I'll just do whatever she wants and I'll make it work. Yeah.
Yes.
That's I can see where that causes burnout because I've done that multiple
We've all
times.
done it.
We've all done it. We're all victims of it. Well, because you just, always want to be liked or want to be loved, and you're afraid to set a boundary and to
And that's not
take
even a
care of yourself.
boundary,
It's not even a boundary.
right? Like
It's an
it
open schedule.
literally. She said, "How's Wednesday?" But as a people pleaser, your brain says, "Oh my God, she must need to do it Wednesday."
Yeah. Yeah.
You may that's it's not even a boundary. It's just a story that you made up in your head from an innocuous comment.
Yes. You think you know, but you don't know. You got to
You
flip
don't
that
know.
script. You got to flip the script and go, no, no, no. Yeah, like you did. Oh, look, Thursday works better for me. Throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, perfect." I said, "Oh, great." And then when I show up on Thursday, guess what? On the resentment generosity continuum, I'm in my full generosity.
Yes. I love that.
If I had to show up on Wednesday, I would not be.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And I don't care how good you think you are or how much toxic positivity, like you were mentioning earlier, just like, no, no, no. Like, I don't care how much you pretend. You cannot hide the kind of energy that you have when you are feeling resentful. People might not know it logically, rationally, but
Right.
they can feel it.
Yeah.
They can feel it on some level. And they're like, she doesn't like me. And you're like, I do like you. And they're like, something's not quite, there's some dissonance here. Something's off here. But it's because you're showing up when you don't actually want to, not because you don't want to at all.
But just that particular day, I'm not there. I'm not ready for
Yeah.
that. I do that. So I have 11 grandkids.
Oh,
I love them all, and my whole life is like I want family first, right? And I try to spread out how much I see them, but I actually went through a similar thing of, yeah, nope, I can't do Grandma's Day this week because I just don't have the energy for it. Like with this upcoming 4th of July event, like I know there's no Grandma's Day, there's no grandkids staying over. There's me just resting, focusing on the last minute things, resting so that I can show up on the 4th of July with all the energy that I need.
yes. On the
Yeah.
generosity end of the resentment generosity continuum.
Yeah. And I did so music in the park, uh we've been doing it for 12 years and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And like when I'm working all year on it basically. January it gets really heavy busy with all the things. And by May, I'm feeling like I don't want to do this anymore.
Hmm.
Like I'm overwhelmed. I'm not enjoying it.
Hmm.
And I had to just force myself to, in my case, I forced myself to take breaks
Hmm.
and rest because I'm a type A personality and I will work until I drop at night.
Hmm.
And part of my healing over this last 14 months has been nutritionally,
Hmm.
strength training, working with
Hmm.
a functional doctor. And he was the one that told me 80/20. You give 80%, you keep 20. When you go to bed, you should have 20% left. And I'm like, what would that be like?
Chinese medicine says you should have 50.
50. Well, that's even better.
Right, because you need the battery to charge the rest of you.
Yes. And if we drain the battery completely, there's no way in just an 8 hour night of sleep, if you get 8 hours, that you're going to get that recharge.
No way.
Yeah.
So then you recharge to 70 and you use 100% anyway, and then you're at negative 30. And
Oh,
then you
geez.
recharge to 60, and then you're at negative 40. And then you recharge to 50, and it goes on and on and on and on and on.
Until then, you have that burnout moment where you can't get up off the couch and you just want to sleep for 3 days.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't, then you do sleep for 3 days and it doesn't even help. So you asked
Yeah.
earlier about the line, you started to ask, and then we went off on another tangent,
Oh,
but you
sorry.
started to ask about the difference. No, no,
No.
no, not, I think, but I think it was a good question that was about to come, so I want to address it.
Okay.
That where's the line between stress, chronic stress, burnout?
Yes.
The line in the sand between I'm just stressed and I'm burnt out is the one that we can draw the easiest. When you are stressed and you had a tough week and it's Friday and you take the weekend and you chill and you are maybe not thrilled to go to work on Monday, but like you're rested enough and you can do it. That's stress.
Okay.
When you are in burnout and you are exhausted on Friday and you take the weekend to chill and it's Sunday night, Monday morning, and you're like, I feel exactly the same as I felt Friday night. So you take another day
Mm.
and you're like, that didn't change anything. So then you take a month of FMLA and it doesn't change anything. You're still that tired.
Mm.
That's burnout. That's the level of fatigue we're talking about. If you can restore yourself in 3 days or less, it's not burnout.
Yeah. I love that. That's kind of an easy way to look at it. Well, we've got about 5 more minutes. So I'm just going to ask you this question to close it out. If you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, especially for someone who is listening that might be overwhelmed today, what would you want them to remember out of this episode, out of your maybe snippet out of your book?
Number one, burnout is not your fault. This is the most important piece. It is very hard to start a healing journey if you believe that you caused your own problems.
I
So,
love
number
that.
one, burnout is not your fault. Number two, get familiar with your resentment. It will guide you toward the life that is burnout free. It will take time. Burnout recovery is a 12 to 18-month process on a good day.
Mm.
It takes some people 3 to 5 years. So you're looking
Wow.
at a year at a minimum for recovery.
Which tells me give yourself grace
Yes,
during that time because it's not an overnight thing.
exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you for joining us today. And you have a new book out, or you're
Coming.
still writing it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's called Mismatch, correct? Do you want to give me
Mhm.
just a short little tidbit of information on
Sure.
that?
Mismatches why good people burn out in good organizations. So when most things are right, why is burnout still happening? And the overarching idea is that it happens because there is misalignment in multiple places, and that misalignment compounds and creates chronic stress. So the misalignment can be wants, values, needs, desires, preferences, and it can be at work, at home, in family, in culture, all sorts of different places. And so we go in the book through every single place where it can be, how you recognize it, how you realign it, what companies are responsible for, and what individuals are responsible for at every single level.
Oh, I love that. Well, I can't wait to read that one. And I'm going to finish. I only have a couple chapters left of Bounce Back Ability. I'm going to finish that. But yeah, as soon as your next book comes out, Mismatched, right?
Mismatch.
Mismatch. Yeah, say that 3 times. I'm super excited to read that too. So thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thanks so much for having me.
it's been a blast.